Welcome to the Simply Be Found Huddle, where we talk about everything business and business related. You have Dean and Rob from simplybefound.com, and today we have our guest, Gabrielle. Did I say that right?
Yep, Gabrielle Mills. That's
All
me.
right. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what your background is before we just kind of dive into a nice conversation?
Sure. So it's nice to meet you guys, and thanks for having me on your show today.
Thank you for being here.
So, as you said, my name's Gabrielle Mills. I am the president and co-founder of Sourced. We're a company based out of Atlanta, Georgia. We do back office business services for small to mid-market companies. There's a side of our business that is fractional. So we have a full-scale accounting firm that we run. We also have a full-scale marketing agency internally. We do fractional HR support for employers, companies and employers to get guidance and compliance advice. And then we also do fractional administrative support, which is typically like virtual assistants, but it also could be paralegals, client services, representatives, things like that.
So you use the word fractional. What can you define that for me a little bit?
I sure can. Yeah, so that is made for anyone that has a gap in their business, but they don't need somebody full-time in that role. So they just need that area of the business taken care of by somebody. So if it's an admin, maybe they only need 10 or 20 hours a week. If it's on the marketing side, maybe they only need a website done, or maybe only social media and an email marketing plan done every week. That's not a full-time job. So we handle those tasks on a fractional basis. Now, on the other side of our business, we do have clients that do need full-time people. I need a full-time engineer. I need a full-time project manager. I need an attorney. I need a whatever that is. And we do full-time direct hire placements for them.
Oh, so you do placements then, is what you do?
We have both sides of it.
And what made you decide to go ahead and start doing Sourced? I'm kind of curious. What was your factor on that?
I chuckle because so my mom and I run the company. So she's the other side of Sourced. Her name's Chrissy. We wanted to go into business together, and we didn't know what we wanted to do. So at first, we did what a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs want to do. They go and they shop for a model, and that's typically within the franchise market, which we did. We were looking for something that was B2B. We wanted to have a team of people. We wanted recurring revenue in a fun business. And we looked for about 6 years while I was working a corporate job, and we just couldn't find anything that resonated. So Robert, our biggest, brightest idea was to just go and talk to business owners and be like, hey, what do y'all need? Where, if you were to do it all over again, what would you do? Where are you underserved? And we have a whiteboard that's in our conference room down the hall that was in the bedroom that I moved into in my mom's basement. And we put all of those ideas up on the whiteboard, and we said, all right, we want to be yes people, but we can't say yes to everything. So what are we going to say yes to? And we didn't realize at the time that back office services were kind of what came out of that. It actually took us another 3 years to not coin the phrase, but stumble upon the phrase back office support, because that's what it is that we did. But we didn't really have a bright idea. Other people kind of came up with it for us, and we just did what they advised.
So I've owned and operated agencies since 2008. I've been in the web world and marketing world since 1995. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you're talking about that back office support, it's changed so much.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing a huge change in 2025 that nobody could have ever really predicted what we were going to see. And I think it's changed admin. I think it's changed a lot of stuff of how AIs came into this world of everything. Because what you used to go get an assistant for, you can have an AI do some of that stuff. I know we've struggled on some of those pieces to where people were doing, managing my email, doing all that different stuff as my assistants. They're not doing that anymore because I get it on demand and it instantly happens, and I don't have to wait for somebody to do it. So I can open my inbox at any point in time and it's done. Which I think we're seeing a huge shift in there. So I'm curious with how much support you're doing on that back end of the office. How's AI changed your world?
So AI is it's a fascinating time to be alive, really, because there's so many really cool things happening with AI. I am a big fan of AI, and I think any business owner that isn't evaluating their business to see how AI can impact them, those are the ones that are going to be at risk. You either choose to use it and figure out how to use it to your benefit, or it is going to be your demise. I believe that's how I see things going. Now, in my business, I have 5 different business units or services that I provide. To our clients, they come and they just pick whatever they want. Operationally, they look different behind the scenes. So the impact on AI is different for each field. And I'm not going to take you through each of them, but I'll just give you kind of the high level. For accounting, AI is not up to snuff yet. It's just not. Technology has not gotten there to where you can intervene from a human level. What is the challenge of the accounting industry right now is there's not a lot of people going into the accounting industry. We have a lot less people that are able to do the work. Technology might at some point be able to supplement some of the more bookkeeping aspects of accounting, but I don't see a whole lot of risk in the accounting world where AI comes into play. I see areas where we could use it, but you still need human intervention. On marketing, we use it all the time. Does it replace our job? No, but we use it to get halfway there. The greatest part about marketing in AI is you no longer have to start with a white screen or a blank piece of paper. You can use it to get your mind to start going, and we do. It is not the finished product. At least if you're hiring an agency to do the work, you expect a certain level. It could get us really close, but we still want to make sure that it's got the right touch and tone. And then admins, we're actually seeing that people still find the value of using a person. But what they're typically using their admins for is not like going through their email. It's really managing their customer relationships, not managing them, just helping to speak to their customers, doing a lot of project management, doing a lot of CRM stuff. All those things are just, AI really hasn't touched that stuff yet. Yes, it's touched some of the stuff that you're talking about, the scheduling, the calendaring. That was never really something that our people did. They were always more like the second in command-ish type person.
No, that makes sense. I mean, I think AI has definitely changed, especially the marketing area.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think you overuse it and it can hurt you.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just got to play around yesterday with a beta version of the new chatgpt 5.0. We're recording this in where would he end? June, beginning of June is when we're recording this. It
June
probably
3rd,
won't go out until August, but so 5.0 will already be out by the time this ends up going through. But I mean, it's going to change a lot. But it's one of those things to where you have to know that you cannot just put out exactly what it publishes, because it's not going to be good.
Well, and people too
but it's a good sounding board.
Yeah, and people are very distrusting of what is on the internet, as they should be. Everyone's developing this filter of, is it AI or is it not AI? And if you are doing marketing, you do not want your brand to be synonymous with, I'm not authentic human people here. So you could use it to help get the job started, but you want to make sure that the finished product is right on your brand. It's got the human touch, got the human element to it. So trust can be built. Otherwise, all the work that you're doing on your brand is for naught.
Right. And you made a really good point there, because we're starting to see a lot of people just popping up, marketing companies. They're saying everything's AI generated. We're going to do everything with using AI. And the problem is it's not authentic. It's taking other stuff out there. And I think the human element still has to be involved with it. And Rob and I have that conversation all the time, that you have to have a little bit of human. It's great when I have writer's block to get me started, like you said.
Yeah. But Dean, I agree on that. What I think I really see is, I've had somebody argue that on a price I was given a quote on yesterday for doing a bunch of marketing stuff for them. And they're like, well, this other company says they use AI to generate all their stuff, and AI can do this. I said, yeah, you could do it with AI. I said, but I like to take the data first approach, and also that user that have that person behind the scenes that knows what it's supposed to do and use AI as their assistant to make it cheaper for you to be able to plug it in. I said, we use it in the background, and we just don't happen to have AI do everything. Now, they might be doing the same thing, but they think it's going to be really sexy to say, hey, guess what? AI is doing everything, but it's not going to get you the results you're looking for. Because if there's an AI that does everything for you, that means that multiple people can use that same product over and over and over again, which is going to devalue that whole entire strategy. And that goes back to the whole piece of if you give a marketer something that is going to change the market, they're going to overuse the hell out of it until it doesn't work anymore. We do it every time. Anytime something new and shiny comes out, happens every single damn time. So, but if you don't have that human touch, you're going to get that faster.
Well said.
I mean, it's one of those things to where you have to, that human can make decisions and knows the market better than what any AI ever would. And you have to remember that at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a question for you, Gabrielle. I'm going to deviate a little bit from the AI piece here.
Go for it.
Okay. So as a small business that needs some help, what are the trigger factors to say, because I can't, if I'm an entrepreneur and I have one or two staff members and I know that I need some help with some part of the business, what's the evaluation process first? Because small business owners get so busy, they need some help. What's the process of determining when you should go look for some extra help and how to determine what would be a good area to go into first or whatever. I know it depends on each business, but what
it does. But I it's a phenomenal question, and it's actually several questions. So
right.
the first kind of
I'm good at that, Gabrielle.
That's what Dean's good at. Is asking a question that has about 50 answers.
You know what, though? I love a guy like that. I do the same thing. So I'm right there with you. So in chronological order, the first thing is the thought of I think I need help. That's really the first step into being able to delegate and bring somebody like us in. Is our clients don't need more time. They of course they want to work on the business and not in it. But really what we found with our clients is they can do all the stuff. They just don't want to anymore. They see the value in somebody else doing it and being able to scale because they are utilizing somebody else's services. So that's the first step is like, I don't want to do this thing anymore. And then usually those people eventually find a couple of different resources and they're like, these resources aren't reliable. They don't know what they're talking about. I don't have consistency or whatever the pain is. And that's usually when we get the call is after they've been bruised a couple of times. Where we go. So it's like anywhere in that space that you fall in of like, I don't want to do it anymore. I don't have time to do it. I can't find good people to do it. That's usually the end point of like, I need to find somebody that can help us. And we've been through all those bumps and bruises and we've seen all the horror stories. So we know exactly where they're coming from and exactly what they need when they come knocking. So then the next thing is like, okay, well, where do I need help? And because we offer so many different services, this is the fulfilling part of what I do is because either me or my business partner facilitates these conversations. And I just tell them, I'm like, what's going on? Like, and usually they're in the venting session to me, telling me all the things that are not going right in their business. And then I can say, all right, I can help you here. I can help you here. And I can help you here. In our different services or service categories, we have scopes of work. And essentially that's a big multi-page document of a ton of questions of like, well, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? Do you need us to do this? Do you want us to do this? And sometimes they've already thought about it and they're like, yes, 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 no, yes, yes. And then some they're like, oh, I never thought about that. Talk to me a little bit about that. So it's really consultative of just, I tell everyone, just dump all the dirty laundry out on the table. I'll find the pieces that I can wash. And then I'll let you know where you got to go for the other pieces that maybe I can't help with, or I've had that problem before and I can give you some off the record advice.
Yeah. It's really interesting that you would say, don't do the things you don't like to do. Hire somebody else to do that because you're tired of it. I've seen a lot of small businesses who do that. They don't keep a good handle on the process, and then things go a little bit awry because they're not paying attention. So there gets to be a little bit of a fine line of, I don't want to do this anymore, but you got to be careful as a small business owner or a business not to let it get out of control and spiral into something that may hurt your business down the long.
Yeah. And subsequently too, we just kicked off a client last week who's an attorney who's doing his own payroll. We were talking about doing accounting work, and he was referred in. So he wasn't really sure if he wanted to use us or not. And we're sitting here going like, he's like, I do this on Saturdays. And when it got to the payroll part, he's like, I kind of like to do this. And we're like, okay, we know you like to do it. We don't want to take anything that brings you joy. But you're also sitting here telling me that you want to scale your company, and doing the payroll is doing nothing to scale your company. So where is your brain better suited in scaling? Because we can't scale you, but we can do your payroll. You can keep it if you want. We're not here to take it from you. But at the same time, you got to weigh how you want to spend your time too. So it's really a lot of those conversations of like, I can find the areas where we can help you, and I can identify how we can help, but everyone's got a little bit of a different perspective on it.
Well, I think that comes into the whole piece of, and we see it all the time. When you talk about a business owner, no matter if you're talking about small or a medium-sized business, they fit into this. Enterprise pretty much has it figured out, and they have systems and processes in place. So I would count them not in there. So your small, medium-sized business, either you are at a point that you are wearing so many hats, you have no time, you are still broke and you're not moving your business any direction, and you have a job instead of an actual business, or you're getting to that point to where you figured that part out and where you have a business and you're able to work on it, but you have certain spots that you don't have those expertise. Yeah. So when you're going out and you're looking at it from a marketing aspect, and we go through this whole entire struggle when we're doing that whole entire marketing piece, because you have the bottom of the barrel, which they're just about ready to go out of business, or they don't have enough money to work on their business. Then that next level is your sweet spot. And I'm assuming it's your same sweet spot where they have money to spend and they know what their problems are and they want to fix those problems.
Yes.
And it's a very interesting yo-yo effect, because you'll see someone in the bottom of the barrel, they'll bounce up here, and then they'll come back down here, they'll go up here. I mean, it's an interesting aspect of business. We've all been there as business owners too.
Yeah. 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 And
we're our own. Every single business owner we're our own worst enemy.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And I say this lovingly about myself and everyone else who's a business owner too. We're all control freaks. So it's really difficult to let it go, which is why it's really tough when you get burned, because then it really hurts, because you're like, I trusted that it was going to, we were going to turn this over and it was going to go well, and then it didn't. God forbid that happens a couple of times. We've lived through that too. So like we've seen all the things. So when people come to us, I'm like, not only do I know what it's like, but I've seen it happen to other people, and I know the right path out of here. So you don't need to know the answers, or you could know the answers, but we can get you to where you need to be.
Well, for a lot of the stuff you offer, there's also the piece to where it takes a lot of time to train somebody to come up and know your business. And I think that's where a lot of marketing agencies fail, is they really don't know the business and they think it's the same for every industry. And I disagree with that approach, because it's not, every business is unique in its own way and has its own voice.
Yeah.
And if you're doing accounting for somebody, there's going to be little tweaks that are going to be totally different for each business. Mm-hmm. And when you go through and you put your heart and your soul and you train somebody on everything, and then they leave, or it ends up not being a good fit, or whatever ends up happening, we've all been through that as well. And it's like, not only did I just pay someone for all of this training, but I just put a ton of work into training them, and then they left me.
Mm-hmm. Which is why we take the firm approach. So a lot of companies assume, there's no shade on them whatsoever, they assume that we matchmake person to person, that if we're doing the books, we're putting the client in contact with one bookkeeper, and then they have a relationship and they go. A lot of companies do that. That model is not bad. For us, that wasn't the right thing to do, because when we started that way, it was really difficult to police quality, to have the same standards across the board. People had different experience levels. People had different work ethics. And
you can't scale that way.
And you can't, and while on the one hand you can, it's harder to scale the firm approach, but you lose all the SOPs going up the chain, because not everyone has the same SOPs, right?
Right.
So we had to scrap that model and do a firm approach of like, no, when you hire us, you're getting an accounting firm. You're going to get multiple people with that built-in redundancy. Same thing with an agency, same thing with HR, same thing with admin support. Now, talent acquisition, it's a one job, one recruiter kind of thing. So it's different. But we found that was a better model for us because of that.
Now, are you guys, so if you guys have that model, I'm kind of curious, my VC brain's going to kick on for my whole entire M&A days. Do you
we
guys
love M&A people.
I've been there, bought that t-shirt. That was fun. That was fun.
No, I'm serious.
You haven't worked with Rob yet. Come on now.
Yeah, I'm an oddball when it comes to it. So when you're doing payroll and you're doing accounting, are you doing the whole entire piece like paychecks type model to where the staff ends up being of each business ends up being your employees, and then you're contracting them back out? I can't remember what that's called off the top of my head. I'm missing it. But do you guys do it that way, or how are you guys handling that?
No. So everything, when we're doing the accounting, we're responsible for the financial statements, the balance sheet, the profit and loss, cash flow, making sure that accounting system is pristine. So when we work really closely with external CFOs, M&A people, bankers, whatever, to get the books right. And when we process payroll, our clients have to be on some kind of payroll system, usually so we can access the data. So we don't really care if it's QuickBooks, Paychex, ADP. We're partners of Gusto. They can run their own payroll. We just run their own payroll, but they're still their employees, their W-2s. We're just the ones calculating the numbers and hitting the buttons, unless they want to do it. And if they do want to do it, then we just make the payroll journals to make sure that the books are properly allocated.
Okay. So I know there's advantage, and it is BPO, but I mean, it's one of those things to where I know there's advantages and disadvantages for liability reasons. So I was curious how you guys were approaching that.
No, we put them underneath a payroll processor.
Cool.
We don't care which one, just something.
I've heard good things about Gusto.
We love them. We think they're great. But we're not here to try to take people's off of their own current system.
No, I mean, I've used Paychex. I've heard good things about Gusto. I know FreshBooks does a ton of stuff with it, which I like FreshBooks over QuickBooks, but for what we do. And I know, Dean, your other business, you love QuickBooks.
My other business, QuickBooks, works better than what FreshBooks does.
QuickBooks. Yeah. I've never been in FreshBooks. It was just kind of surprising. I've been in just about every system, and I'm surprised I haven't seen that. But that doesn't mean our accountants haven't. It's kind of funny that I'm in front of the mic or I'm in front of the client usually, and sometimes I don't know the breadth of experience of our team. I'm like, somebody probably does this. We've got I think 13 or 14 accountants with all various different experience. In order for them to be a part of our firm, they have to have an accounting degree at minimum and a minimum of 10 years of accounting experience as a staff accountant at least. 10 years is a long time. And across 14 different people, that's a lot of things. So someone could know FreshBooks. I just don't.
Yeah. So are your accountants CPAs then, or certified public accountants, or just
they're not
the background on it?
Mm-mm. We at one point hired CPAs, and we realized that, and CPAs were a good referral source for us for a while. CPAs like the tax work. We don't specialize in tax work. We specialize in the accounting and bookkeeping, the day-to-day transactions. And we actually have a partner CPA that provides the tax planning, the tax returns, the advisement, things like that. We have a partnership with a firm that we do all of their clients' books. They get all of our clients' tax stuff, so everyone's all taken care of in one spot.
That helps your liability too.
It sure does.
I mean, once you get the IRS involved, it's a whole nother ballgame.
And and frankly, Robert, it scares me. That's not my. It's not my. I don't want to do that. And even if I did, I've had plenty of people like, it's not that bad. You could figure it out. They're easy to do. And I'm like, it just scares me. So no.
I mean, it's you have to do what's best for you. So when you're working with these different clients and everything, and there's certain industries you work with more.
No, not officially. So we are industry agnostic. We've been really blessed to see lots of different types of companies. We've got aviation companies and restaurants and tech companies, and we get a lot of attorneys. But we do have trends. So we got our start in construction. And we've done quite a bit of work across all of our different services in construction. We do a lot in law, both on the hiring side, the accounting, and the marketing side for attorneys, private attorneys mostly, or private firms, I should say. And then I think our other big one is IT, although yes, IT, so period. We do a lot in services. So most of our clients are more service-based than product-based, if I were to generalize.
Okay,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I really like the term agnostic customers. I like that.
Yeah. It took us a couple years to get there. The whole first 3 years of our business is we didn't know what we were doing. So it was just spaghetti on the wall for everything, trying to figure out what the hell we were doing. We got there.
Well, that's how most businesses start.
Yeah.
I mean, when we started Simply Be Found, we were very much Google based. We did a ton of stuff with Google. We saw the shift in everything. We ended up taking our whole entire platform, redoing it. We built the listings engine to where it works with over 1,000 different networks, and made Google where it's on. It's basically its own little tiny spot that's over on the wall. It's still important, but it's not the big player of how everything connects and goes through. And a lot of people are like, whoa, you pivoted really fast. I'm like, yeah, we figured out what we wanted to be when we grew up. But you had to test it and see data first to go, you know what? This doesn't really work the way we thought it was, and it's shifted. You got to make that change.
Yeah, totally.
And that's the difference of working with a smaller business than working with a big corporation. I'm assuming you're kind of in that same spot where you would operate yourself as a small business.
We are definitely operating as a small business, but I would say that, I talked about that model shift in the early years of our business. One of the things that we did at that time is our culture is very warm and accepting. And the things that we take on from a business can be very vulnerable. The finances or the administrative parts of their business, HR is very vulnerable, right? So we always would say, and we still do, but that we want to fit into your business. We don't want you to fit into our box. We don't know your business like you do. We're just going to do what you need us to do that works for you. That sounds awesome. And and we still believe that to this day. However, what we underestimated was our clients don't always know the answer either. And they're looking to us for our expertise. So I'm not going to say it caused friction, but there was like well, don't you guys know? And it's like, yes, we do, but we want to do it your way. Well, I don't know the right way. So we didn't want to overstep. And there was this weird push and pull to where now we're like, we have our processes, we have our standards. We're going to tell you exactly what those are. If you want to fit in that box, we got you. If you don't, we will figure out where those guardrails are, or maybe we're not the right fit for you. So that has served us better because we're able to say, like, we know what we're doing. Here's the path that we're charting for you. If that's not your path, that is totally fine. And we can customize it a little bit, but we also want to do the right thing. And that's doing the right thing by our clients.
You made a really good comment. And I think a lot of businesses don't think about it. Not everybody you're not going to be a good fit with everybody. And you have to be able to say no to because you're not always a good fit.
Saying no as a small business owner is really hard, especially at the very beginning, because you need that cash flow. But when you can finally get to that point of being able to say no, this isn't how it works. We're probably not a good fit for you. That's the point to where you get the clients that you want. And because when you take somebody that you should have said no to, it ends up being the worst thing.
Oh my gosh. Can I tell you?
The scars I have from that are absolutely insane.
I got them right there. I got one right here. I got one right here. There was a moment in our business. So we had a phrase early on, Chrissy and I, that every dollar is a good dollar. That was the first 2 years, and we're just like, we don't really know what we're doing. Every dollar is a good dollar. We're just going to try it and see whatever. And then there was this moment, and I don't even remember what happened that was the catalyst to this, but she just looked at me and she's like, you know what? Every dollar is not a good dollar. And we both looked at each other and we're like, you know what? It's not. Sometimes it's just not worth it.
It's like the old adage, the customer is always right. I modify it. Customers aren't always right, but they're never wrong. But you can't. But you have to decide when they're not always right.
But so I also went into business with that thought in mind. And I still believe that, at the heart of that principle, I believe that, like, you do what you can to serve your customer well.
Right.
But at the same time, I was so staunch in, I'm going to support my team. Like, maybe the customer isn't always right. We know what's going on, that we actually had a period of time that we were so defensive of our team that we missed really good things that our clients were trying to tell us about our client or our team, our processes, or the way we were working, things that could have made us better, but we were too busy trying to defend our team that we were like, oh, we had to learn that one too, of like, all right, well, yes, I need to defend my people, but I also need to defend my clients too, which is something that I don't think it's really talked about a lot in business either.
No.
So that's called pivot blocking.
It's called what?
Pivot blocking.
Never heard that.
So you're not able to pivot because you're so blind. You have blinders on. So it's like a horse that has its
Yes.
shades on. You see this way, my way is this way. It's that small business piece of where the customer's not always right, especially in B2B. And you can easily put those on because you defend your team, but you don't want that whole entire piece. And every customer has their opinion, and their opinion should be heard. And you should look at it and reflect on what that opinion is. Doesn't mean they're right. They might be 10% right, 20% right.
Yeah.
There's times I'll come back and respond and go, well, have you tried that before? Yeah, I'm doing this now. Is it getting the results you're looking for? No. All right. Then it's probably not the direction you want to keep going, because that's the definition of insanity.
Yeah. But I will say, just for those people that are like, that's an interesting thought. The clients that were usually pushing back a little bit, they were the clients that weren't worth every dollar. So
right.
Part of the trouble learning was that I didn't exactly agree with their methods of business either. So, but it's just part of the growing pains of learning how to find your own way.
Yeah. Right. So we actually have clients that they want us to make adjustments to do something for them. It doesn't fit within our model, and we have to just say no, because if we make all these pivots for them, they may not. The rest of our business isn't going to work the same way. And sometimes they go, "Don't you want our money?" Yeah, I really like to earn your money, but I can't change my whole business model for you as a customer.
Well, I'd say probably a big one on that, Dean. I had a conversation on chat this morning about it, and it was somebody who, I only want to go to this network, this network, this network, and I don't want to go to the rest of the networks. Well, with our listings engine, it's built to where it goes to all the networks. Now, if you are a hotel, a lawyer, or somebody that wants to go to specific networks that are above and beyond, we have deals that we can then turn those on as like an add-on that we don't really ever talk about. We should probably talk about that more than I'm saying this out loud. That's probably a good point. But it's one of those things to where we can always add networks into it if people are interested in adding those, because we have those relationships. But we're not going to change our listings engine to be able to narrow it down to not work with all the networks. I mean, it would take us, it would be a nightmare and a half for how that system's built. So we had to get to the point to where we're like, no, we're not customizing it. This is what it is, unless you want to go above that. If there's a certain network that you want to work with.
I find too, Robert, that people are really understanding once you explain and educate them on that. That stuff. Like there's not a lot of pushback that we get, and maybe people don't take a minute to just educate of like, hey, this is why we book things this way, or this is why I would recommend this to you, or this has been my experience. Now take that information and you make your decision on it. But I find that if people just would take the time to walk the clients through of like, here's where I'm coming up with this thought, usually they fall right in line. Or they change our mind and you're like, you know what? That's a really great argument. You've got data to prove otherwise, or usually with the books, it's pretty black and white, but insert another example. It's like, okay, that's a great conversation. Let's try.
Well, what I find funny about the whole thing about when, like the conversation this morning, they thought that they could sit. So our listings engine at the time of recording this is $39 a month. And they thought that they could get a reduced price if they reduced the amount of networks. So I'm like, that's not how it works. For one, the amount of time it would take if we had to customize, it would cost you more than that. You're not going to save any money. This is why you had somebody call you because they have a one-time payment. They said, well, you're going to blast your information out one time. Here's why you don't want to do this part, because it's going to hurt you. You might get an instant boost a little bit in some reaction, but then you have to go back and do it again and again and again. And here's why on that. So I agree with you on that piece.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are the things you have to learn as a business owner along the case. And I think those are the only way. No school could ever teach you those lessons. You have to learn them yourself, and you have to have some of the scars, or else you're not a business owner.
No. It's fun talking about the scars, over an adult beverage is the best way to do it.
It is.
Yeah.
Now it's one of those things to where I always hate when you repeat the same problem more than once and the scar gets bigger. And you go,
I've got a couple.
I remember doing that before, and that hurt last time.
Yeah, those are the worst. I've done that once or twice, and I'm like, what am I doing?
I know better. Why did I do that?
Yes.
Why did I decide to open my mouth and do that? Why did I do that? I'm my own worst enemy, damn it.
Because we care, because we want to help people, or at least that's how I
Well, I don't get as many scars anymore, Gabrielle, because they basically kicked me out of my own business. And they're not
your other business?
Yeah, my other business, they told me I can't be there anymore. I can't talk to the customers because you're going to screw it up like you did the last time. But I say that in jest, but it's all part of that education process, and everybody has to stub their toe at some point in business and go, oh, that wasn't a good thing to do. I won't do that again.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, totally.
What are some of the biggest problems that you're seeing right now that you're solving?
That's a great question. Always at the foundation, there's always two things. So bad books, they're never going anywhere. Well, the books will get better, but people having bad books is always going to be a need. Hiring is a big one too. A lot of places aren't hiring. There's a lot of candidates on the market, but not a lot of jobs to hire for at the moment is what we're seeing. And in the marketing space, I'm interested to know kind of what your opinions on this is that, paid advertising is an interesting conversation among small business too. It's becoming more commonplace to have it, but it's also expensive and the juice isn't always worth the squeeze. So that's always a conversation that we're having too.
So my take on paid advertising is not worth the time that you put into it for the most part. There's certain businesses it makes a lot of sense for. And there's certain aspects, if you're looking for a quick sell and you need to be able to boost your business, no one knows about you, and you need instant results, paid advertising is the direction you have to go because you're kind of stuck. Now, we are, I think Dean will agree with me on this, we are a big believer in the organic side and being able to get an organic presence.
Yeah.
It does take longer. Where I think paid advertising is worth doing mixed with that organic approach is your retarget marketing. Building your retarget marketing because it's cheaper and you can set it. You have a budget. It just sits there. It does its thing. Yeah. But you have to build your organic piece. Yeah. So our entire philosophy on that is the tree method. Dean knows I was going to go here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to have that organic piece down at the bottom. We call that your root structure. For simplybefound.com, that is your listings engine. That's where you're going to have 1,000 different networks that you're going to go out to, or up to 1,000 networks, because obviously you're not going to go out to all of them. If you're a restaurant, you'll have specifics. If you're a lawyer, you have specifics. Hotels and all that different stuff. So you have your core set of networks that you're on. That's all your directories, your listings. You have your branding and everything that also sits down inside of that root structure. Then you have your website. Your website is your pillar content. So it's going to be all your main pages, making sure those are set up. If you're a service area business, you're going to have your city pages, all that stuff set up in there, your schema, your SEO. And then you have your canopy at the top. So your canopy is where your blog is going to live. I think that's everything. It's going to be anything that's interactive, that's going to be changing and dynamic up there. So that's going to be your blog. You're going to have your social media. You have sub branches on there, which will be like Facebook, X. I'm going to call it Twitter, LinkedIn, all your different social media networks. You might have your email marketing. You might have paid advertising up in your canopy. Everybody's canopy is going to be unique, but it's still going to be that basic, that root structure, and that website is going to be your tree trunk are going to be your most important for your organization.
I love that analogy so much. What a great image that you just painted. Are you talking about the roots being mostly like your branding work?
It could be your branding, but it's going to be also your directories. So getting on all your voice search networks, Alexa, Siri, Cortana, Apple Maps, Google Maps, your Google Business Profile. I put Google Business Profile also up in the canopy because a lot of people forget about doing updates to Google.
A ton of people, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you have that kind of in two sections. Everything inside of marketing is all connected. Mm-hmm. So what we did is we created a system that helps you connect all the dots. So, and this took us 5 years, and it's taken me since 2008 to come up with the tree analogy. And one day we were having a podcast, and I was like, afterwards, I was like, all right. I started messing around. I had this thought in my head. I started drawing it out, and I was like, it's like a tree. Then I looked to see if anybody else just came up with that concept. A lot of people have had, but to be able to put a visual image on what that ecosystem looks like, it paints that picture to where it makes sense.
Really cool. I'm really glad that we talked about that. As a fellow marketer, I have not heard that, and I think it's really neat. Really neat.
Right. I think with the interactions with social media and AI and all those other things that are happening, we talk about the website being so important, but with some of the searches that are happening now, the websites are important, but people aren't going to websites. So some of the analytics are starting to disappear. Mm-hmm. When Rob and I talk to our data engineers, data science people, we're seeing some things that are shifting a little bit.
Yeah.
So we have AI mode coming out from Google.
Right.
When AI mode gets released, which I'm predicting it'll get released probably around the time this gets released out, it's probably going to be August, where AI mode's going to take over main search inside of Google.
Yep.
Google's whole entire piece is going to be probably putting ads inside of that AI results and inside of the piece. You have content people blocking AI from creating content, which I think could hurt somebody more than it's going to help them. I think it has to be a unique relationship back and forth. But I mean, we have a lot of changes happening, how businesses are being found. And if you're not putting information out there, you're going to be lost overnight.
Yeah, totally agree.
Totally. I mean, we're going to see a shift. I'm already seeing across all. I track thousands of businesses for their data points inside of our system. Or I should say we do it. But I look at that from a data aspect with our data engineering team. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing about a 46% downturn across the board for how many people are actually going to the website. They're pulling a lot of information off of AI's voice search. They're pulling that information on the overview, and that's only going to get worse. So if you're not putting information out there of what problems you solve, you're never going to be found.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of businesses, I mean, if we went back to 1995, you built it, it stayed static, you didn't have to do anything, you put some meta keywords into it, you were great, and you were able to get your website found. Mm-hmm. That's how Alta Vista and Lycos.
Doesn't that sound like the promised land?
I mean, and it was like the Field of Dreams. If you built it, they came. Yeah. Well, now if you build it, they have to be directed to it. So if you're not driving traffic of some sort, so go back to your original question of paid ads, you have to have some way of driving those. Yeah. Paid ads, you're not going to be able to sustain very long because you're now going to be subject to the price of whatever they want to charge for the clicks.
I know, which is crazy in my opinion, but it also, depending on the business, it's a necessary evil in some cases. Right. And so it's an interesting conversation in marketing of like, where does paid live? Because also the same can be said about social media. If you don't have a business that people are going to find engaging on social, yeah, you need it to keep the lights on, but you're not going to drive business through it, which then you're going to think it's a waste of money because it's not lead generative. And so it's just all, Marketing's hard, which is why you don't want an AI bot doing your marketing. You want somebody to actually think about this stuff.
There you go.
And it's one of those things to where you have to know kind of what is happening, and you have to be willing to give that information. When it comes to marketing, you have to know your business, and the marketing team that you're working with needs to know what problems you're solving. So what we advise anybody, if they're using either us as an agency or if they're using another agency on top of us, which we have a lot of members that are using us to be kind of that middle ground to help them guide to be able to send their agency stuff, to be able to improve it, which is kind of an interesting twist that I never seen. I never saw it coming, but it's something that's happened with our coaching piece. But what we advise is someone to go through and talk to their AI, and we have a video on that, or record a video if you can about the problem you solve. So if like we're talking to a roofer, we say, okay, you get done bidding that job or some kind of construction person, you get back into your truck, record a short, 3 to 5 minute video, or 2-minute video about what job you just gave a quote on. And then when you go get the job, go back and be able to tell about the job and show it and do that video, because you're going to find things that you solve that you don't even know to talk about. And off of a video, when it comes to your marketer, so if you're working with a marketing agency, if you send that video or you send that transcript of you talking to your AI, or even just doing a recording of your voice, and so they have a transcript to work from, they now know your voice, they know what problems you're solving. You're able to put some location data into there to say, I did this in XYZ city, and here's what I'm seeing. It brings your expertise in. And that's something that a marketer could never know about your business, because that's an intimate piece. And it kind of gives you still that control. So from an agency point, how do you feel about that?
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah, I'm totally with you.
I've only had one agency argue and go, I don't want that. That would create more work for me. And I'm like,
no.
I was like, I don't know what to say now.
No. In the marketing, you have to be nimble. Like, we're always having conversations every marketing is going to change week over week. They change the damn algorithms that frequently. Right. You have to be nimble and agile. And since it actually started in accounting, this concept of the network of at first, we thought CPAs were our competitors in accounting. And then CPAs started calling us because they were like, we don't want to do the books. You guys do the books. And we white labeled for a little bit before we realized that it was a little too difficult. But then that same concept kind of came into marketing of like, okay, it's very commonplace for there to be a lead agency, and then agencies bring in other agencies who specialize in things to do this little piece. But the main one is the coordinating, the facilitation of it. It's the better way of doing marketing, because you can't be an expert at all things.
No, and there's times, we'll refer off over to a different agency if they're coming to us and want us to do the whole thing. Now, we don't even really, at this time of recording this, we really don't even really promote much on our full agency side, because it's not our bread and butter. It's not what we do. It's not what we want. Now, can we do it? And do we like doing it? Yeah. Plus, it gives us the data points to be able to track what's happening out there.
Right.
So we have to have that, but yet we love working with other agencies, because it's that kind of good fit in relationship building, the whole entire piece, which is really unique.
Yeah.
That's what's interesting about the whole marketing world, is you could put all kinds of marketers inside of one room and everybody will have a different opinion.
They're all different. And if I were to put myself in one of those categories, we're excellent branders. We, said in a simple language that everybody can understand, we're the people that make you look good. So we give you a really good brand. Your social is going to be on point. Your email marketing is going to be fabulous. We create great content for you. And then we use people like you to help us on the data side or the pay-per-click side, or, buying media spots. And like, we're not the people buying media spots, but we can create the content that goes on them. So that's kind of the lane that we fall into, but we've got everything in-house. But then we farm out the pieces here and there, like an animated video, for example. I don't have an animator on my team, so we bring on
come on, why not?
Yeah.
You want to talk about a pain in the butt?
Yeah. Animation's so hard.
And the people that are good at it, you think developers are hard to work with. They're a whole nother animal.
Boy.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
You get ones that think that they know everything and they're really good and they can knock it out. Then you get the guy that you really want to know that can knock it out in just a few hours and is fast and can turn anything around and see any vision and just be able to knock it completely out of the park.
Yep. Uh-huh.
I mean, animation is a whole nother game.
Yeah, it is.
And I think what's really funny about, I think a lot of businesses need to understand is when I talk about video marketing, you don't have to have a ton of edits on video.
No, you don't. But there
People,
are. But I would
love raw.
I would say that yes, while raw is really great, there are circumstances where highly curated is a good idea, depending on your line of work and the tickets that you're like the amount of money you're asking for needs to be commensurate. The video needs to be commensurate of the services that you're providing. But I am a huge proponent of authentic is better. And you've got to keep the human element. You've got to keep obviously I'm a brander. Like we do a lot of branding in here. So, we want to make sure we leave that spin when we're talking video.
And your big thing with video is you can build relationships.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, someone will see your video. They'll be able to, they know who you are. They'll feel like they've known you for years if they've watched 2 or 3 videos. Yeah. It's an amazing concept. And you can't get that for, and I agree, there's times that for like a website, you want a certain piece of content that's going to be super professional and super recorded. But I like to do those at the top of the page if you have them.
Yep.
And then do some of the candid raw ones below on the same page, because now you saw me in a professional aspect. I'm professional. We have this relationship. Now let's have a one-on-one conversation. Yeah. It reduces the amount of conversations we have to become a client.
Agreed.
Anything you want to add to that, Dean?
Nope. I'm just nodding my head.
All right.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's doing great. It's like, I got nothing else to add here.
Yeah. I feel like Tommy Smothers. I'm dating myself to the old Smothers brothers. Like I'm just the guy saying, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, we're with you. Take it away.
Well, that's an interesting thing that we've done is Dean still says that small business guy. Sometimes I'll kick him out of Simply Be Found a little bit, be like, all right, go back and do your other business because I need you to be back in that mindset. You've gotten too close to what we're doing.
There's things I did not know that I did not know when I first started this journey with Rob. And I think a lot of small business owners don't know, and they don't know. They just get stuck and they don't know where to go forward, and they need the professionals like what we are here in this group to help them see and go forward.
Yeah.
It comes back to those blinders. It's really easy to have blinders on and only see right here. Just like when you're always seeing negative stuff inside your business, that's all you're going to see.
So that brings up you didn't ask me about this, but it brings up the thought of sometimes people ask, what order do I think about help? Kind of like your question way back when, Dean, about, so I sometimes get that question of like, okay, well, how do I do this? I'm just getting started. I want to use you guys at some point, but I'm just in the beginning. Where do I start? So typically every business is different. Let me just go ahead and say that. But typically what we see is that the first thing you want to outsource is payroll. Do not, for the love of God, do payroll on your own. Either have us do it, have your CPA do it, get a payroll provider. Do not file those taxes on your own. Mistake number 1 for me. So they're cheap, get a payroll processor. That's the first thing you outsource. The next thing you outsource is your accounting. And like your day-to-day bookkeeping or month-to-month bookkeeping, depending on what you need. Because you want to get it right in the beginning. If you don't do it right in the beginning, you will pay to have that cleaned up. The more years you go, not hiring a professional, the more expensive it's going to be when you're inevitably going to have to clean it up. So I'm like, it's relatively inexpensive to start from the beginning and get a bookkeeper to do your day-to-day accounting. Start there. And then it starts to get a little wishy-washy depending on the type of business that you're in. Sometimes people at that point start with admin support, because then they're like really busy and they're like, I need a second person to throw things to. Sometimes people see more value in marketing. It just kind of depends on the business. So it's kind of like one of those two in what we do. And then finally, you're going to eventually be big enough to make a hire. and we can help you hire. So I'm like, that's kind of the life cycle of like working through Sourced is starting and going in that direction. HR is just going to be a part of it. You call us when you need us. If you have, we say if you have over a team of 3, you need HR. So like we're around. So eventually you're going to need HR in the middle of that. But people who don't know how to outsource, that's usually the path that I advise them to.
I like that. And if anybody's interested in working with you or being able to find you, where are they going to find you at?
Yeah, so our company's Sourced, and the website is getsourced.com. They can find me personally on LinkedIn at Gabrielle J. Mills or Instagram at gabrielle.speaks.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today. This has been awesome.
Thank you. No, I'm so happy that you guys had me. Thank you so much. It was a really fun, great conversation with a lot of good nuggets from you guys too.
Yeah, we appreciate
a lot of randomness is always what our hosts are.
Random.
That's probably what I love about it.
Yeah, my compound questions are what make it, guys. Come on, go ahead.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Gabrielle.
Thanks.